ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
A major announcement by government on this National Heroes Day geared toward the recognition of Bahamians whose work will be rewarded. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie receiving applause at the National Heroes Day ceremony at Botanical Gardens following his announcement to institutionalize National Heroes Day in a more meaningful way. It comes as the proposition to rename our surrounding seas is pitched. We get the story from Clint Watson.
On this National Heroes Day, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie announcing that government will institutionalize the significance of this day through the introduction of the National Heroes Honor.
In January on Majority Rules Day, that legislation would be in full effect and being implemented. And I should say this about it, that the government, the Heroes Committee, the people of our country will have to buy into the national honors, and we have to make those honors very, very special. We have to have the pomp and pageantry associated with it. It must be seen and felt by the people of our country that this is a major defining intervention that will last forever and forever and forever.
The nation's leader didn't stop there, much to the delight of the committee, who confirmed that by January 10th, they will have identified a place for a national park.
Consideration has to be given as to whether or not our heroes will be buried there. So it is just not a park. Mr. Fred Mitchell has long spoken about the eastern precincts of this park. Others have spoken about Clifton. Others have identified as such as the Defense Force, a place on Tunick-Darling Highway and Independence and JFK Drive. The government will make that decision before January 10th.
Mr. Christie noted the decision will come through consultation with stakeholders, and as the Bahamas comes into its own, a special call is being made. Acting Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Tellis Bethel, suggests naming the body of water around the Bahamas the Lucayan Sea.
Of course, we are aware that the Caribbean Sea is named after the Carib Indians. And likewise, the indigenous people of the Bahamas were the Lucayans, who no longer exist today, but yet reflect much of who we are as a people. This name embodies our history as it relates to humanity's quest for peace, our geography as the birthplace of the modern Americas, and our culture as ambassadors of peace.
In San Salvador, they celebrate this day, which they inherited as Discovery Day. Prime Minister Christie says the government must take a defining role in ensuring the confusion is removed. Chairman of the National Heroes Committee, Canon Sebastian Campbell, in addition to a national honor system in Heroes Park, called for our own national dress and the introduction of these ceremonies in our schools.
There we, through the Ministry of Education, no doubt, mandate that Afro-Bahamian ministry is taught to all our children in all our schools across Bahama land. The brainwashing of a Eurocentric history continues. What are we going to do? Tell our story.
Prime Minister Christie encouraged the National Committee to continue to lead a national discussion on who we are as a Bahamian people. At Botanical Gardens, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
9 members of the Fox Hill community were honored as local heroes today for their contributions to the community and the nation during a service at St. Paul's Baptist Church. The honorees are the late Fox Hill Member of Parliament Lionel Davis, retired housekeeper Frida Harris, homemakers Berla Mae Wright and Cynthia Johnson, former teachers Francis Moss Cox, Eva Edgecombe and Christina Sargent, seamstress Alvina Connell, and businessman Willard Corey Burrows. Addressing the group was former track and field athlete and Fox Hillian Chanel Ferguson, who lauded them for their selfless service to others.
able to feed your own family and many of the neighbors on your street. It is because of you that many children did not go to bed or to school with empty bellies. It is because of you that many of our elderly, sick, and shut-ins receive food, companionship, and medical attention. No one had to tell you to do it. You knew the circumstances, and you simply got it done. This is labor worthy of honor. How many of your families have taken in people who are not blood relations and sheltered, fed, and loved them?
The National Heroes Day holiday marred by another homicide in the capital, and police need your assistance tonight in locating the people responsible. Police say this latest incident occurred shortly before 2 p.m. on Dorset Street off Burnett Road. Police say two male relatives aged 22 and 23 were sitting on buckets on the side of the road when a burgundy Honda vehicle pulled up. The occupants in that vehicle reportedly called one of the victims to the car, and that's when police say shots were fired.
The individual ran, and the assailant exited the vehicle, pursued him, discharging multiple shots again at him. EMS arrived on the scene shortly after that incident and pronounced this male lifeless.
As the victim's body was lifted onto the hearse, distraught family members disregarded the police's cordoned-off crime scene to get a closer look at their loved one. Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Rose, says a second male may have also been shot during the ordeal and may have left the scene in a private vehicle. He's appealing for that individual to come forward.
I appeal to him, as well as his family, to come and see us and let us provide the necessary assistance that they require. I appeal again to this family, because I know the family very well, having dealt with them, and ask them to come and see me so that we can assist them and trying to bring some resolution to this homicide here this afternoon. Similarly, I appeal to persons who would have seen anything in this area to provide that information to the police. Help us advance this investigation this afternoon.
Bahamas talks are said to be progressing. Recent discussions between the liquidators, representatives of the government, Exim Bank, CCA, China State Construction Engineering Corporation, and the investor have been described as another important step on the road to resolution. According to a release from the liquidators, while there's still work to be done, it's clear that all parties are focused on quickly reaching a viable solution to ensure that the resort is opened soon.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Platinum Bride Couture, downtown Nassau on Parliament Street. Begin your happily ever after at Platinum Bride Couture.